Hello, I'm Miss Angus, and today we're going to be looking at physical development and what that looks like in reception, and give you some ideas as well for things you can do at home to support your child in those areas. So physical development is broken into two aspects in the early years framework: health and self-care, and moving and handling. We're going to be looking more at the moving and handling part today. And on the slide, you can see some statements which are what we are working towards by the end of reception. So we're looking at the children being able to move in different ways, for example, skipping and jumping, and being able to negotiate the space around them when playing games like tag or other games where you might have to look for a space while running around. We're also looking at the skills of throwing and catching, and also looking at fine motor skills, which is the movement of their hands, and looking at writing, and also building up those muscles in their fingers with activities such as using Play-Doh or small bits of Lego. So first of all, looking at gross motor development, lots of people ask me how they can support their child in their writing and their pencil grip and the pressure they're applying to the pencil whilst writing. And I always say that it actually starts back at gross motor development, and it's about building up those larger muscles like the arms and the legs and your core muscles as well, to then eventually help them when they're sitting down to write. So gross motor helps them with functions such as walking, climbing, jumping, pushing. So it's all about building up those larger muscles. On this slide, you can see some example activities of things we do at school, which you may like to try at home as well, to help develop your child's gross motor skills. So a nice thing to do is using big chalk and doing some large scale drawings outside, maybe on the driveway or on the patio. You could also build an obstacle course, so encouraging your child to go over, under, around different objects you might find. Also playing throwing and catching games. You might play piggy in the middle. You might count how many catches they can catch while throwing the ball. Also, painting with water is a lovely activity to get those big movements in their arms. So doing big circles with the paintbrush, again, maybe on the patio with some water. You might like to try some digging. If you've got some gardening to do, they could help you with some gardening, or digging in the sandpit to help develop those muscles in their arms. And also jumping, skipping and running races, which encourage them to develop all of the muscles in their bodies. And you could have some family races maybe to encourage that, and also help with their coordination. Some children do find moving, such as skipping, quite tricky, and getting used to those different movements. Looking at fine motor skills is looking at the smaller muscles, so the muscles in the child's hands and fingers and wrists, and building up these muscles then helps them with writing, but also with other self-care activities such as eating, so handling cutlery, getting dressed, so doing up those zips and buttons, and things like brushing their teeth as well. Here we've got some activities you may like to try at home to help build up the strength in their hands and their fingers, to then go on to support them when they're handling a pencil, and to help improve that pencil grip and that firm pressure when they're writing. So getting them used to different tools, not just writing tools, but other tools such as scissors, and having a go at cutting out different patterns with scissors. Also playing with Play-Doh or putty, which is a bit firmer than Play-Doh, This is something we use at school as well. You might like to hide jewels or stones in the putty to pull out. You may also like to Google or search on YouTube dough disco, which is something we enjoy doing at school, which is moving with Play-Doh to music. Also squeezing pegs and tweezers. So there's lots of ideas on the internet as well about how you can use pegs. One idea is getting a bucket or a pot and squeezing open the pegs and putting them around the edge of the pot or container. You can also try and pick things up with the pegs. So you might have little pom-poms that you could try and pick up with the pegs or tweezers. There are also lots of different threading activities. So you might have some threading boards at home that you might like to play with. You could also thread beads or pieces of pasta. Another activity which will also be really helpful for when the children are getting dressed after swimming and PE is practicing their buttons. So if the children have buttons on their shirts or on their cardigans or their coats, having a go at those buttons and showing them with your hands how to fasten and undo those buttons. Also having a go at zips on coats so that they feel a bit more confident with that when going out to playtime. Obviously we'll be there to help if they're finding it tricky or if it gets stuck, but it's really good for their confidence to have a go and just get used to what to do in that situation. And then going on to getting used to holding a pencil, which will then help them when we go on to writing and writing letters and words. Getting used to just how to hold a pencil, what grip to use, using colouring pencils instead of felt tips when colouring, and having a go at tracing different patterns or tracing their name with a pencil. So they're getting used to the feel of the pencil and how to grip it. Hey. I hope you find some of those activities useful, and I really look forward to meeting you and all the children when starting at Banstead Prep.